is. It's really strange, but I've noticed that it has definitely inspired a bunch of drummers and a bunch of people all over the world who know very little about it. My background was that I grew up in church. My grandmother was a piano player, but she had kids, so she couldn't necessarily be like a touring musician all the time. So she basically, played piano in church. So I was always sitting next to the drum set, so I saw pretty much every church drummer, whoever was a drummer, come to my church because my church was a popular church in my area. And I don't know if people know, but a lot of the churches that we have where we live, Baptist and Kojic, they all fellowship with each other. So they all go and travel around and play at each other's churches. So at a really young age, I got to meet all the guys. So I got to meet people don't mention these dudes because it's like they see us and they see Tony and they see like the new generation and they think we're the guys, but we're not the guys. We're like the youngsters of the guys. So we got to grow up under, Butch Galloway, who played with James Cleveland, and Savant Parkman, who played with James Cleveland. James Cleveland was a huge artist at the time, and Joel Smith, and then those guys were like, and Jeff Davis was a huge dude. He's from New York, and they were like a lot of the earlier contemporary. When I say contemporary, I mean they were the guys who were basically throwing in all the different genres that they were seeing. And they were inspired by Steve Gadd and Tony Williams and all the jazz dudes. They were inspired, and a lot of gospel music is inspired by other styles of music. And so they were the earliest guys playing the stuff that we kind of made a hybrid of their style. And then after that, it was Gerald Haywood was one of the earlier guys, and Calvin Rogers, and can't think of everybody right now, but it was so many guys that came. Teddy Campbell, a bunch of us that we watched them. And so growing up, I played in church all the time, and my grandmother, her biggest thing was learn every style of music. I, at the time, didn't understand why. So I went and I studied and went to a middle school, and I went and was in the jazz band at the middle school, and I got kicked out the middle school jazz band. Not because I couldn't play, but I got kicked out because he would tune the drums like they were like, ding, 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 and I would tune them down like church drums. So he got mad at me and kicked me out, and then I went to high school, and I ended up playing with Ambrose Akamuzuri, Charles Altura. We kind of went to a school where the kids in the jazz band, they scouted each other. So we all knew each other from playing in jazz camps, and so we all went to school together. Charles Altura plays with Chick Corea right now. Benny Green went to my high school. A lot of important jazz dudes went to my high school. So when I was 15, well, this is past all the endorsement, hop, hoopla, drum off, hoopla. I was in high school, and I went and we had a jazz festival, and I went and I auditioned for Berkeley, and I got a scholarship to Berkeley at 15. I've been playing. How old are you? You right there. Yeah, you're 14? You are not 14. Huh? I got you. How old are you? 14. So I was about his age when I auditioned for Berkeley. And I didn't know what it was. I just went and did what I do. And I ended up getting a scholarship. Went to Berkeley after high school. High school was really hard for me. High school was hard for me because I don't personally feel that the schools in America really cater to kids who have an identity. They cater to kids who don't have any identity, and they cater to making a kid a workhorse, not an individual or an entrepreneur. So I had a real issue with. I had a big issue with going to high school because we all knew what we wanted to do. We all knew we just wanted to play music. So fast forward, went to Berkeley. I took lessons from John Ramsey, and John Ramsey was a student of Alan Dawson. Alan Dawson taught Tony Williams. He basically showed me the drum ritual. So I'll show you a basic template of the drum ritual. So he showed me the drum ritual, and at the time, I wasn't as crazy on it as I am now. A lot of stuff that I learned when I was younger, I had to go back because my mind was, you know how you are when you're young. It takes a little bit of time for you to focus on certain things that people are teaching you. And sometimes you have to go back to kind of get your mind right to be like, oh, that's what he was showing me. So I'll show you the drum ritual. So the drum ritual is basically, you know, a bossa nova, right? With the hi-hat on 2 and 4, right? And then you go and you do each rudiment that you can possibly find on the internet or in a book. So you go and you start it off like this. So I'll do parodies, right? All the rudiments, but you're doing over the bossa nova. So the moment you start going into different time, like, you know, you got a 5-stroke roll is in 5, and a 7-stroke roll is in 7, and you got 6-stroke rolls in 6. The moment you start doing that, it starts to be a little more difficult because you are playing multiple time signatures. So I'll do 5s. 5s would be like this. The drum ritual thing, but I started making it, I turned it on steroids. I turned it out, right? And so what I did was, I basically will put them together. So if I'm doing doubles, I'll do four beats of doubles, and I'll do 4 beats of parodies. I'll be like, I'll do double 5s, and I'll do single 5s. So I'll be like, I started getting really experimental with the drum ritual. And then, you know, I would add another kick. So instead of it being a bossa nova, I would add another kick and be like, everything I learned inside out, bro. Like everything. Like I would watch people play regular, you know, triplet fills, and you know, it's so many of us practicing and watching each other on the internet. My biggest pet peeve is that I feel like a lot of drummers see someone that they enjoy and they play it exactly like them, and that's the most opposite thing you should do. You should see something someone does, learn it, and change it and make it your own. Like, put it on a different drum. You know what I mean? Move the drum. Put a drum somewhere else. Put a cymbal somewhere else. So I sat there, went to Berkeley, went through all that, and I left Berkeley, and I went for 2 years, left Berkeley, and it was one of the craziest times of my life because all my family was upset with me because I left school, and I just started gigging. The first gig I got was Keisha Cole. So that was a homegirl, she's from home, and I known her since we were 16, and so that was the first gig. And so I was doing her gig for like 2 years. Next thing you know, I did the Gospel Chops video. And I was partying the night before, and dude wakes me up at 8 o'clock, like, let's go play. And I just set up any drum set that I had at the time, just set it up, it was mix match, some was cracked, everything was everywhere. And months later, after the video came out, I got a call from the Mars Volta. And I didn't know who any of these people were. And so I got a call from them, and they were like, they called my grandmother. I guess my phone was listed in something, and they called my grandmother, and they said, come hang out. And I hung out, and it was actually an audition. It wasn't a hangout. And they were opening up, it was crazy. They were opening up for Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I knew Chad Smith because Chad Smith is a drummer, and he does drum things. So I knew him. I've never seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers live at the time. And I'm just watching him, and I started partying because it was Halloween. And next thing you know, they're like, no, you're playing tonight. And that's how all this crazy getting a modern drummer stuff started. You know what I mean? Like all of us from Ronald to Tony to Justin Brown, all of us have been here forever, dude. We've been playing since we were little kids. But it took me to play with, a quote-unquote notarized rock band for me to get into modern drumming, which is the saddest thing in the world. Because to me, I feel like you got Dexter, you got all these amazing people. I don't know everybody here, but I'm sure some amazing drummers in here. And I feel like the music media caters to people who are playing in popular bands more than they cater to people who are good. And it drives me crazy because I watch a bunch of kids online who can play, who are playing on crack cymbals and broken drums and all that, who play better than half these dudes on the cover of all these magazines. So when I notice that, it bothers me, but I talk about it because I was that person. I was the same. I was there when Tony did a video with Dennis. I was right there. All these companies remember me. I was right there, and nobody. The companies took care of me, but when it came to like the media and being like, look at this young kid who's killing it. Dude, I had a scholarship at 15, but I didn't get into modern drum until I was 23. So you look at it, and it's weird. So when I say this, I don't want to say this to bash anyone. I'm saying this for all the youngsters who can play. Don't get your heart. Don't get bummed out. Basically, is what I'm saying. Because I just watched the drum off. And there was this kid who really won it. He won it, but the fact that he didn't play some Roland SPD pad, he lost. And to me, it bothers me because I feel like as musicians, we don't have a lot of young guys playing music. Like if you look at music right now, like all the people who are making beats and making making millions of dollars making music, half of them can't play anything. Yeah. They can't play anything. You sit in the studio with them and you like play something. And they can't play. All they can do is hit a button and press play. And I feel like it's that way now because we've sat here and we've isolated people who can actually have a talent and play because we're looking for someone who is popular. And it drives me crazy because I sit here and I deal with it and I just don't want you guys to get bummed. I just want you guys to keep going, dude. My grandmother used to say that your gift will make room. My grandma's not here anymore, but she used to say, your gift will make room. And that was one of the biggest things that stuck with me so much because I remember watching Sheila E., the Dennis Chambers, the Vinnie Colaiuta up on the stage like this, and I'm sitting where you are with my mini disc was live, and I'm sitting there recording them. You know what I mean? I used to sit there and record these dudes and be like, want to be there. So for me sitting here, I don't feel like I'm some special creature, dude. I feel like I'm the same person that any of you guys can do what I'm doing. I sat here and worked my behind off and tried really hard to get here. And I don't know if that's your father, but my grandma used to sit with me and take me to everything, and all these companies will tell you that, yeah, I remember that. And so I just want you guys to stay encouraged, man, and understand that every step you take will lead you somewhere. Nothing is going unnoticed, man. Like your days of practicing, your time, going to school, all that is not gonna go unnoticed, man. Right now we're at a place where real doesn't exist. We're at a place where real doesn't exist, man. I say that, and I want you to know that, man. These 15-second clips aren't what people are. That's not real. That's a 15-second clip. The real clip is the dudes are out working all the time, having to deal with crazy band leaders and crazy people all day. Like as a musician, for me, that's the hardest thing in the world. It's harder for me to deal with people than it is for me to play an instrument. So sometimes when you go on tour, people are like, how was it? Like playing is the easiest thing ever. That's what I'm saying. I only get nervous in front of these drummers, really. It's really hard to be able to be a functioning human being with so many different personalities and meeting people all the time. So I want you guys to know that I really care about you guys. I was playing to songs. Like, I'm about to play to a Kanye West song just because I like it. But like, I was just playing the music, man. I would have, I don't know, is Justin Brown here? No. I put him on my list, he didn't come. All right. So me and him used to go home. We used to don't do this. We used to cut school, and we would go home and practice. We would set up 2 drum sets, and we would play all day. And I had a bunch of friends we would do that. Me and Ronald used to do that. Me and Tony would do it. We'd go to the house and just like wake the neighbors up. I think my best time ever doing that was Dennis Chambers was at a club, and my grandmother was like, I'm gonna cook you dinner. And Dennis loves food, right? So he comes over the house, and we set up drums, and we start playing, but it's like 10 o'clock at night, and my neighbor's like, poo, 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 poo. It's too late. I'm like, you don't even know who this guy is, right? So, like, what we did, Duke, was we made every part of the day. We were just thinking about the drums, bro. It was like anything else. If you engulf yourself in it, it's you. It starts to be in your DNA, bro. It starts to, and when I went to Berkeley, don't do this either. When I went to Berkeley, I would go, and they had a library, and it had a bunch of all the CDs and the laser discs, and it was right when the iMac came out or whatever that was. We used to be burning everything. So the first day, I think the first day I did it was like Will Kennedy Day. You know what I mean? I was like, we're gonna listen to everything Will Kennedy ever did. And then the next day was Chris Day, and then the next day was Tommy Campbell. Like, we would just go through the list of drummers and just go listen, and like, I have never wanted to do anything else. You know what I mean? Any other questions? You right there. He asked me for advice. All right, so my advice in the music industry, Jesus. I mean, other than playing every style, which is a big look. It's like that's one of the biggest ones, man, because I watch people who are broke or on covers of magazines. And you'd be like, dude, how are you broke? It's like, because I ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? And so, like, I think Mike Johnston is the most genius person on this level because he took his musicianship and started teaching and created an empire on that. You know what I mean? Which is another way of going at it. But I feel like learning every style is important, really important. Then my second one would be to learn music business. The majority of the gigs I don't do anymore is because I know business. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just played 100 solos on a record. Where's my royalty check? You know what I mean? And then if you know anything about publishing, they say, if your drum beat didn't influence the melody, you get no songwriter's credit. Right? Is that messed up or what, right? Nobody's fixed that. Why? Because half of us don't know that. So you sit there and you play on all these records and you make people famous. That's what we do. The drummer, we playing, the guitar player tuning up, the singer's over there drinking tea. You know what I mean? Where's my check at? So learn music business, man. Learn little simple things about publishing. Learn, don't be afraid to go get a lawyer who knows it. I think that's the most important thing in the world, man. Knowing your business, man, because you will get robbed in this business. Think about how many thousands of people who have been musicians are broke. Famous, sleeping under a highway. I got a 9-year-old boy, I will not sleep under the highway. So learn your business. All right, any other people? Nobody question? You right there.
During the Erskine, you said that you wanted to try and have your PlayStation on the glass screen. How did you do it?
No. Because they got this screen, I promise you the screen is as big as this whole audience. And it's huge. And I wanted to play PlayStation on the stage and I never played it. And the main reason why is because when I wanted to play, we were in rehearsals. And now that we're not in rehearsals, we don't have time to go to the venue early. People are like, I ain't going until we get, right, we're in cruise control right now, so this is kind of a weird time. Maybe next tour I'll try to play PlayStation. All right, any other real drum questions? You right there, back there. Did you have a hand or was you just wiping your face? I don't know. Any questions real quick? Yeah. I would. I saw them and it was a weird timing and I couldn't really talk to them how I want. All I could express was how pissed off I was. So I hit him up and I was like, dude, I apologize. I probably should have been nicer at that moment. But it kind of really hurt me when Ike passed away. and that was like my dude. Like me and him used to talk all the time because it was 2 black dudes in a band with a bunch of white dudes, so we didn't. It was us. We were like, yeah, hey, we're playing rock together. So we would talk all the time. So when he passed away, man, it was like everything changed, man. It was like, you know, people that you might not necessarily be as cool with, you're like, man, that wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Because life is so precious, man. It's like sometimes you harp on things that are like, I don't know, you harp on things that aren't, they're superficial. Money is superficial, you know, like getting mad at someone is very superficial. But at the same time, it's important for people to have mutual respect, and I felt like I was disrespected by them. So it was like, but now I can, you know, I'm not on some turn the other cheek, you know, we have to have a conversation, but I would definitely consider it, you know what I mean? I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it. I would definitely do it. I would mostly do it not even for me or them. I would do it for all these people who freak out on something that we did so naturally. Like it wasn't, you know, people be like, how do you do that? I'm like, I've been doing it since I was 15. This is easy. I've always wanted to play every lick I know on a record. You know what I mean? I just didn't get a chance because people would be like, break down in the verse, break down here, don't play that, you know? So they were like the first band that I ever got into where they would encourage me to go crazy. I was going nuts. And I was young, dude. Like I was young, and they were like, they had like a lot of like issues with people doing stuff and not being able to control themselves. And I was young, and I was wilding out, dude. I was everywhere. I never had people gravitate like that towards me. So I was nuts. I was absolutely nuts, bro. I was going everywhere and being the wildest person I possibly could be. All right, two more, three questions. Be right there. Yeah. I'll show you. All right, so I had a drum teacher. His name was Curtis Newtall. He was probably one of my best drum teachers ever because he was the drum teacher that I had when I was 10, and that's when the drum off and I got introduced to the people. Hey. Oh, he was like all the people that he introduced me to a lot of drummers and like a lot of stuff. So I would sit there and we watched dinner. So I'm like, how is he so fast, right? So I do 2 things. Basically, I'm going between every technique at the same time. So I'll do the molar, right? The Jim Chaplin molar. Go watch it on YouTube, right? The molar vibe, and then I'm doing the fingers, right? So the way I would do it, and I would practice it and learn it, was I would split my hand into one or single fingers, where I'll be like this, and you can hold your wrist like this, so you know your wrist not moving. That, and I would add fingers, so I would do like 4 beats and add a finger. So I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I would do that. So a lot of times what's going on is I'm using my regular stroke, going between the fingers, going between the molar. Because what happened when I started playing at Mars Volta, the guitar player's rig is like this. This is his rig. And so I met him, and this had to do with how my drum set changed too. Because his rig is like this. You're like, why? Why? So you sit there, and I was like, I couldn't get through the set. I'd be sitting there like dying, dude. And I'm like, why am I dying? And so I had to go back and do molar. My hands were all ripped up. And a lot of times when you see some drummer post his hand is all ripped up, just right. You have horrible technique. Right on the bottom, troll them. You have horrible technique. Because I play hard and I have no calluses really, like really small calluses, right? So what it is Dom Formularo, he's a real good dude at learning this molar technique thing too. And I shook his hand, right? Shook his hand. His hands feel like, no, don't say, this is weird, a baby's butt, right? So he got baby butt hands. So you're feeling his hands, you're like, God, how did you do that? And he's like, molar. And he's going in playing how he plays. So I had to go back again and like fix my technique so I'm not wearing my body out. Because like what I think about the most, what I think about a lot, is how am I gonna do this at 50? Because I'm playing with people when I'm playing hard all night. So I had to figure out how to set my drums low. So I would set my cymbals up lower, my toms I wanted to play big drums, so I have to kind of sacrifice certain things. I got to sacrifice. You want to play big drums, you have to sit, your time is going to sit higher. You know what I mean? You want to play big hi-hats, you're going to have to spread your legs more and be like this, you know? So, and that had to do with how I started going up in size with drums and cymbals, because this dude was playing this. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it started happening. So that thing, you know, don't be afraid to learn everything on the drums. When I'm saying reading, different motions from traditional grip to molar to German, and I get heckled on my videos because they're like, that's not real German grip, you know. But like all that type of stuff, don't be afraid to learn it because that'll help you. Because I'm going between every technique at one time. One more question before. How many? I got 10 minutes probably. Yeah. How do I play in the studio? Is it different from playing live? It depends who I'm playing with, man. Like, and when I go in the studio, my main focus in the studio is making the drum sound good. So I'll sit there and tune the drum for a mad long. I'll sit there and tune the drums for mad long. I'll sit there and I play the same. I usually play the same. It depends. Like, I work with this dude, John Feldman. He's a singer for Goldfinger. I record on the majority of his records, and I record on a bunch of. He'll be like, I got this artist. Come do all these songs. And, you know, I learned a real good trick from Josh Freeze, right? Josh Freeze is the smartest dude in the world. Because what he'll do is he keeps in contact with every producer. So, and if the producer's paying $1 million or $100, he don't care. He's on the session. So I started doing that. I started being like, all right, it's free, let's do it. And I ended up being on like Black Veil Bride's record. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, and it's cool for me because you know, I start talking to all these drummers I appreciate. I'm like, how many records are you on, John Robinson? He's like, over 1 million. It's like, when you think like that, it's tight because it's a different world. But I take that same world of sounding, making my drums sound good and all that, I take that same world to the live vibe too. So people be like, your drums sound good. I'm like, because I spend time tuning. Because there's a bunch of people who don't know how to tune drums. So I will sit there and, so I kind of like, I think my vibe mostly is just trying to make people happy in the studio, man. People are crazy. I had a dude, when I did the Mars Volta record, the dude was trying to make me mad the whole time. You know what I mean? So he was like, you know, like, play the chorus again. I'm like, the day we be done with the record, play this chorus of this. I'm like, what's wrong with the chorus? The drums are not gonna sound the same. Why are we doing this? And he'll be like, play it harder, play this. And like, well, now you listen to it and I'm going crazy, but at the time, I wanted to kill this dude, you know? He wouldn't let me tune none of the drums, he wouldn't let me, you know, so that was a different world. This dude was trying to make me mad so he could get something out of me, which he would have got if he just let me just play. You know what I mean? But it's always different, man. Everybody's a different person. One or two last questions, I'll play one song. Any other questions? You guys know me. All right, you. Any questions? You got one? Say that one more time. Advice for a beginner. Yeah, all right. So my advice for a beginner is, I think my advice for you, are you a beginner? I think my advice for you, man, would be to get a drum teacher and don't let him tell you how to put your hands. Because like, I write left-handed, and I kind of wish that I would have played open-handed, because it'd been so cool to be able to play how I play, but play all these things without having to cross my hands. So I think it's really cool when you got a new drummer. I think it's really cool for you to keep playing how you want, like how you feel the drums. Like, I love watching Mike Mangini play the kit all like an octopus. Or watching, you know, I think it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's new and it's different. Have you seen Travis Orban? Travis Orban, you should check him out on YouTube. He's this dude who, his hi-hat is right here, he has a hi-hat right here, and he plays both-handed on the drums, and it's killing. He'll go on, he can play any way he wants. And I think that's cool. I don't think you should let someone dictate how you set your drum set up or none of that. I think learning like that, get a teacher who knows rudiments and can teach you how to move your hands is important, and learning how to play a beat that is solid. Don't be one of those kids who can play all kind of fills and you start playing a Parliament song and start speeding up to like the height. All right, yeah, just learn everything you can, man. It's like you have this empty vessel that you gotta fill with drum. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for coming and letting me be weird. I want to thank Jules and Johnny D and everybody, Tina and everybody from Zildjian and everybody at the London Drum Show. I've been trying to come out here for like 3 years, seriously. So I want to thank you guys for having me. I know I'm of a special case. I know I'm not easy to deal with all the time, and I know my schedule's crazy, but thank you guys for letting me be here, and I hope you guys enjoyed something and got something from this. All right, man, thank you.